Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Paul, aka James Pun, and in this video we're breaking down the two post-credits scenes that come with the Suicide Squad. They leave a couple of hints for the future, and throughout we'll be discussing the ending, what could be happening next time, and why John Cena is gonna be the biggest Peacemaker in the DC universe. Full spoilers ahead, so if you haven't had a chance to check out the movie, then I highly recommend that you check out now. Thumbs up the video if you're not Martin Scorsese, and make sure you subscribe to stick around longer than Blackguard. With that out of the way, thank you for clicking this, now let's get into the breakdown. Okay, so the Suicide Squad follows Task Force X as they're sent to the Corto Maltease in order to destroy a tower named Jotenheim. In the opening of the movie, the members of the team are split into two groups, with one side being absolutely demolished by the Corto Malteasean military. Savant, Captain Boomerang, Blackguard, TDK, Javelin and Mongal are all killed, leaving just Harley, Flagg and Weasel as the only survivors. We don't learn the latter is alive until the first post-credit scene, which I'll talk about later on, as I think this will tie into Peacemaker in some way. This leaves the B team of Bloodsport, Ratcatcher, Polka Dot Man, King Shark and Peacemaker to reunite with Harley and Flagg. I think there was someone else with them, but I can't quite remember who, but either way, they capture the Thinker, who heads up Jotunheim, and slowly they start to learn the truth about what's really going on. Throughout the film, we discover that this houses the gigantic alien Starro the Conqueror, who has the capability to create a hive mind. Turns out that the US government helped to fund human experimentation, which involved sending people from the island's populace straight to Starro. Due to a military coup and new leader of the island, the US now worry that things might come to light. Upon discovering this, Flagg decides that the public need to know, but just before he can expose the operation, he's killed by Peacemaker, who stabs him through the heart. Ratcatcher takes the data, and Peacemaker then chases her down. However, just before he can kill her, Bloodsport arrives and puts a bullet in his throat. Now the rest of the group go on to kill Starro, and they set up contingency plans that will release the info if Waller decides to kill them. However, it's not over yet, and the post-credit scene reveals that Peacemaker is alive and well in the hospital. Man got his his leg in a cast, and he's on the road to recovery, but it's clear that he will be going on other missions for Waller and her underlings in the future. These include John Economos and Amelia Harcourt, who both pull from the comics. John worked directly with Task Force X from time to time, and Harcourt was an Argus member that was often sent in to keep them in line. We know both are set to feature in the Peacemaker show, and it's likely that they'll have big roles. During the movie, Waller attempted to wipe out the entire squad because they refused to leave Starro to destroy the Corto Maltease. However, her staff ended up knocking her out, and because of this, they're all getting punished and put onto other assignments. Therefore, I think other members of the operation will show up too. However, this pair will be the main ones running the show. I think that once he recovers, they will very much be his handlers, and in the episodes they'll appoint him jobs that involve saving the fucking world. There's a whole host of DC villains that the character could end up going up against, and after we had Polka Dot Man, I'd love to see some more of the goofier ones pulled into the overall universe, like Condiment King and Kite Man. Tom King actually did an incredible story with Kite Man that I think would work really well in live action. This told of the character getting revenge after the death of his son in the War of Jokes and Riddles, and he's got a very tragic backstory. I think this would work really well, and the show could handle several goofy characters that might not have previously been brought to the screen. I think one big issue with the show is that it's tied to the main DC universe, so it'll be difficult to have him stray too far off the course of whatever Warner Bros end up deciding to do with these movies. Therefore, the direction they take things will probably be a jokey one that involves more obscure characters such as Weasel. Now, speaking of Weasel, we know he's alive after the showdown on the beach. Weasel is actually portrayed by Gunn, aka James Gunn's brother. Over the years, James has had him appear in a lot of his films, including Guardians of the Galaxy, in which he showed up as Kraglin. He also did the mocap for Rocket a lot of the time, and appeared as Calendar Man in the film, so it's clear Gunn likes using his brother as much as possible in very stupid roles. Now, because of James heading up the Peacemaker series, I can see his brother being brought back as Weasel, as they could have easily left the character dead if they had no further plans for him. He'll probably still be a joke, but he's not the only person that I think will pop up in the show. I actually think that Bloodsport, aka Idris Elba, will be in the season at some point too. Though Elba has been in a lot of films, he's also been a key character in several TV shows such as The Wire, The Office and also Luther. I would love to see him pop up at some point, as Peacemaker will likely be wanting revenge for him shooting his load down his throat. Cut that bit out. I didn't mean it like that. Cut that out. This will of course cause some tension in the show, as the US won't want him dead due to the contingency plans. Thus, Peacemaker will have to wrestle with whether to put his country before his personal vendetta, and this is something that he tackled with in the main movie. There's so many potential directions that they can take things, and you can really see the character sort of going back and forth between doing the right thing for his country and doing the right thing for him. Now, one thing that the characters share and might even be able to find common ground over is their relationships with their fathers. We do know that in the HBO Max show, Robert Patrick will be playing Peacemaker's dad. Due to Patrick's age, I think that means he will at least be alive in present day, as if they were only showing Peacemaker's pops in flashbacks, then they would likely go with a younger actor. Therefore, the two will probably share some screen time together, and we could end up discovering why Peacemaker is the way that he is. Peacemaker is pretty much Captain America pushed to the extreme, and he puts patriotism above everything else. This includes his friends, and thus we could explore why he's taken on this mentality of blind loyalty when he's seen firsthand that there are aspects of it which are flawed. I don't think they'll get too political, as Gunn tends to keep things in the subtext rather than hitting you over the head with what he believes. However, we could explore what happens when you tie your identity to a black and white ideology that leaves no room for compromise and means you would basically eat a beach full of dicks. Now, that kind of mentality extends beyond patriotism and of course can be applied to a number of things. Peacemaker very much strikes me as a character who sees the world as being one way, and he'll stamp down anyone who doesn't believe the same thing. That means metaphorically his character arc could be used for a simile for a number of things that we see in modern day. This will no doubt tie back to his dad, and there's so many different avenues they can do with their relationship. Now lastly, we know the character Vigilante will be featuring in the show, and Adrian Chase is a DA who helps to fight crime. He's the second version of the character and will provide a great opposite or ally to Peacemaker. I can actually see the pair facing off against one another, as he's more of a good guy than a bad one, whereas Peacemaker is someone who thinks he's a good guy, but he's actually more of a villain. The pair have crossed paths several times, and Chase even retired at one point, only to take the mantle back up because Peacemaker murdered Dave Winston, who had taken over the role. Peacemaker actually did this in front of Chase, and thus I can see this arc possibly being adapted for the show. He's set to be played by Freddie Stromer, who you might know from the Harry Potter films, and yeah, there's a lot that they can do with it. Anyway, that's pretty much the way I think it'll be happening, and obviously I'd love to hear your thoughts on the future of the franchise as well as the film. We're currently running a competition right now and giving away 3 MCU box sets on the 30th of August, and all you have to do to be in with a chance of winning is like the video, make sure you subscribe with notifications on, and drop a comment below with your thoughts on the movie. We pick the comments at random at the end of the month, and the winners of the last one are on screen right now, so if that's you, then message me on Twitter at Heavy Spoilers. If you want something else to watch, then make sure you check out our full breakdown of the film, which will be linked on screen right now. We've gone over the full plot, and also some of the Easter eggs in it, so it's definitely worth checking out right after this. If not, then thank you for sitting through the video. I've been Paul, I'll see you next time. Take care, peace.